Hello there, you're watching Nightline. I'm Anita Wu. The headlines. Nearly 3 billion ringgit of Felda funds used to buy political support for BN in GE14, says Azmin. And the European Union set to grant UK a Brexit delay, but with strings attached. We begin with our headlining story. A total of 2.7 billion ringgit of Felda's funds was allegedly siphoned off to win political support ahead of the 14th general election, or GE14. Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Sri Muhammad Azmin Ali said this was among the findings of a forensic audit report prepared by a professional independent audit firm. While Felda Global Ventures FGV had raised 10.5 billion ringgit in its 2012 initial public offering, or IPO, Datuk Sri Azmin said the previous administration had spent about a quarter, or 2.7 billion ringgit of the earnings on very shady transactions.
Malangnya 1.4 bilion daripada hasil tunai yang diperolehi oleh Felda melalui penyenaraian FGV telah dibelanjakan untuk membuat pelaburan yang sangat meragukan, melibatkan transaksi gelap atau dengan izin shady transactions. Manakala sejumlah 2.7 bilion ringgit pula telah digunakan untuk meraih sokongan politik menjelang pilihan raya umum.
In tabling the white paper on Felda's sustainability, Datuk Sri Azmin said the firm's financial position worsened due to continued wastage with asset purchases at a higher rate than market prices.
Sebagai contoh, pembelian Eagle High daripada PT Raja Wali Capital International yang dimiliki oleh Peter Sondak pada kadar 96% lebih tinggi berbanding dengan harga pasaran ketika itu. Pada Mac 2019, pelaburan berjumlah 2.3 bilion ringgit itu hanya mempunyai nilai pasaran 500 juta ringgit. Datuk Seri Najib Razak yang dikenali sebagai MO1 selepas ini, yang merupakan Menteri Keuangan pada ketika itu, terlibat dalam proses pelaburan ini dengan memberi arahan untuk menyegerakan transaksi tersebut dengan pembiayaan oleh Kementerian Keuangan.
Datuk Sri Azmin said upon evaluating the findings, the Pakatan Harapan government took immediate action to save Felda by forming a special team under his ministry. The team, comprising Felda's new management and a professional firm, is focusing on a review of the group's financial position by conducting forensic audit and formulating a new direction. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Azmin revealed that the government has agreed to set aside a 6.23 billion ringgit financial aid for Felda. He said the money will be dispersed in stages by way of grants, loans and government guarantees as needed to sustain the firm's future.
Kerajaan baru, Kerajaan Pakatan Harapan, telah berjanji untuk menghapuskan hutang tidak wajar bagi meringankan bebanan keuangan peneroka. Merasai denyutan nadi peneroka, kerajaan bersetuju untuk menghapuskan kadar faedah di atas pinjaman sara hidup dan pendahuluan hasil yang dibebankan kepada peneroka. Bantuan kerajaan ini dianggarkan berjumlah 2 bilion ringgit. Kerajaan juga amat prihatin terhadap masalah perumahan generasi kedua Felda, perumahan generasi baru Felda, PGBF, yang terbengkalai sekian lama tanpa pembelaan daripada kerajaan lama. Sebagai sebuah kerajaan yang peduli generasi baru Felda, Kerajaan Pakatan Harapan bertekad untuk menyiapkan 4,794 unit rumah yang tahap kemajuannya 70% dan ke atas. Untuk tujuan ini, kerajaan meluluskan sebanyak 250 juta ringgit bagi tahun 2019.
He said the new model will see Felda inject new manpower and optimise its potential to progress and modernise the agricultural industry. The injection of the 6.23 billion ringgit will involve, among others, a new model of settler land management for a reasonable long-term period that will solve the issue of settler demography and the absence of economies of scale. The Economic Affairs Minister added that Felda is committed to producing new settlers who are skilled and innovative to increase their income through agricultural and livestock activities that use new technologies such as smart farming and precision agriculture. This effort will help the settlers to reduce their reliance on oil palm yield, and the settlers can generate a high-value new income through harvesting in a short period of time. The following are the highlights on Felda Group's financial position and difficulties as presented in the White Paper. Felda's cash flow stood at 3.9 billion ringgit in 2011, but this shrank to 400 million ringgit in 2017. As at May 9, 2018, the firm recorded a cash flow of only 35 million ringgit. Over a span of 10 years, Felda's liabilities ballooned to 14.4 billion ringgit in 2017, or a 22-fold increase from 1.2 billion ringgit recorded in 2007. The White Paper also highlighted Felda's investment impairments in Felda Global Ventures, FGV, totalling 2.1 billion ringgit, as well as fair value loss on the investment in PT Eagle High Plantations, TBK, which amounted to 1.6 billion ringgit in 2017, including foreign exchange losses. Felda also reportedly bought the Park City Grand Plaza Kensington Hotel in London above market value at 331 million ringgit, compared with its market value of 128 million ringgit. Other things highlighted in the White Paper include Felda's 4.9 billion ringgit losses in 2017 due to deterioration in revenue from the Lend-Lease agreement, as well as non-strategic investments and corporate takeovers. During the debate session, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has urged for an explanation on how 140 million ringgit was spent by former Felda chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Isa Samad, including on overseas trips with his family members. The Port Dickson MP also questioned if former Felda and FGV chairman and 53 companies under it received a windfall, income and allowances of more than 2 million ringgit a year. He added that he was shocked to see Felda, which he described as bleeding, had bought more than 100 vehicles during the previous administration. Datuk Seri Anwar stressed that it is sad to see new cars being still bought despite the settlers facing hardship. And during a media conference, Datuk Seri Azmin said more police reports will be lodged by the Felda over alleged mismanagement. He said the reports would be lodged after the government scrutinised the forensic audit report on Felda that was presented to Cabinet recently, but did not specify exactly when the reports would be lodged.
Yes, certainly there will be more police report to be lodged after this white paper. Well, we will look at the findings of the audit report which was presented to us recently, and we will ensure that all those culprits to be brought to justice, and to ensure that no more abuse of power and mismanagement to take place in Felda.
Datuk Seri Azmin's statement comes following a police report lodged alleging that former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak had ordered Felda into overpaying a 37% stake in Indonesia's Eagle High Plantations, PTK, in 2015. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad stressed that the government has to step in and provide the 6.23 billion ringgit injection in a way to help the settlers.
Yeah, if the claim is made that they have been making a lot of money and they give back the money, then the government will not inject anything. But unfortunately, the Felda settlers are suffering because the previous government has stolen their money. So we have no choice but to overcome the difficulties of the Felda settlers.
On another matter, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad rejected the assertion that it was the state ruler's prerogative to appoint the next Johor Menteri Besar. Instead, he said it was solely the right of the party commanding the State Assembly to determine who should be appointed.
This is a political thing. The Sultan has got no rule. The rule is for the party which won the election to determine who leads.
He also said that the appointment of an acting Menteri Besar for the state was expected to take some time but will be done soon. Tun Dr. Mahathir, however, could not confirm speculation if Johor Exco member Dr. Sarudin Jamal from Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, Bersatu, would be one of the candidates running for the post. On Tuesday, Tun Dr. Mahathir announced the resignation of Dato' Osman Sapian as the State Menteri Besar. Dato' Osman, who served as Menteri Besar for less than a year, submitted his resignation letter to the Prime Minister on Monday. The Federal Court on Wednesday dismissed all three of former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's appeals related to his SRC international corruption case, including a gag order to prevent the media and public from discussing the merits of his case. A 7-member panel chaired by Chief Justice Tan Sri Richard Malanjum also rejected the 66-year-old former Prime Minister's appeal regarding the procedure taken by the Attorney General to have his case transferred from the Sessions Court to the High Court for trial. Meanwhile, the panel allowed the prosecution's appeal to overturn the appellate court's ruling that required it to produce the appointment letter of ad hoc prosecutor Datuk Sulaiman Abdullah to the defence. In delivering the court's decision on Datuk Sri Najib's appeal for additional documents, Justice Tan Sri Idrus Harun, one of the judges on the panel, said the Parliament has passed Section 5.1 of the Criminal Procedure Code, CPC, to regulate the documents to be supplied to the defence before trial. Justice Tan Sri Idrus said this has been complied by the prosecution. He said Datuk Sri Najib was not entitled to any further documents at this stage, adding that if Datuk Sri Najib's demand was to be allowed, it would be tantamount to the entire investigation papers being delivered to him. The Court of Appeal in March this year dismissed the 3 appeals. Datuk Sri Najib is facing 3 counts of criminal breach of trust, 1 charge of abusing his position, and 3 counts of money laundering over SRC International Sendirian Berhad funds amounting to 42 million ringgit. His trial commenced on April 3rd, and the prosecution had called 1 witness to testify on that day. The trial will resume on April 15th until May 10th. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib's wife, Datin Sri Rosmah Mansor, was back in the Sessions Court on Wednesday to face a new charge over the solar hybrid project for rural schools in Sarawak. She was charged with accepting gratification of 5 million ringgit from Jebat Holding Sendirian Berhad for allegedly helping the company to secure the project. Datin Sri Rosmah, however, pleaded not guilty to the charge when it was read out before Judge Azura Alwi. It is the 3rd time that she was charged in the Sessions Court over the solar hybrid project. The new charge brings to 20 the total number of charges against her, with 12 of them for money laundering, 5 for failing to declare her income to the Inland Revenue Board, and 3 for soliciting and accepting gratification for the implementation of the solar hybrid project. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has called on Islamic banking and finance players to intensely invest in technologies in order to transform the way they conduct banking services and disseminate their products in a more effective and efficient manner. He reasoned that the application of smart technology within the industry, known as financial technology or fintech, has positively disrupted the financial industry as well as other industries. They include sectors such as mobile payments, money transfers, loans, fundraising and asset management. Speaking at the 15th Kuala Lumpur Islamic Finance Forum, Tun Dr. Mahathir said fintech has definitely penetrated the Islamic finance space, despite it still being considered at a very early stage.
Latest technology embraced by fintech leveraging on internet, mobile devices, social media integration, big data analytics, and artificial intelligence makes financial transactions more automated, user-friendly, and more convenient, thus a superior customer experience.
He, however, warned that the potential disruptions to traditional Islamic finance should not be underestimated, as they could swing both ways. The Prime Minister said the evolutionary pace in the Islamic banking and finance industry has intensified in recent years, where concepts of Islamic finance have been incorporated into many financial products in order to meet the changing needs of consumers, businesses and investors. Dr. Mahathir said the landscape has also been supported by a well-developed regulatory, prudential, legal, accounting framework and reinforced by the necessary research and development. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail has expressed disappointment with the Barisan Nasional MPs for choosing to abstain from voting on the Federal Constitution Amendment Bill 2019 in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday, which sought to restore the status of Sabah and Sarawak as equal partners. She said the move led to the failure to obtain the necessary two-thirds Parliament majority, or 148 votes, automatically blocking a third read in Parliament.
Saya rasa kecewa sebab ini kalau melihat bahawa perbahasan itu nampak semua setuju bahawa kita mahukan pengiktirafan Sabah Sarawak itu sama dengan Semenanjung. Dan kita mesti pindah juga pada masa itu ada masuk negara Singapura dulu kan, dan juga saya tak ingat Brunei tak masuk, tapi Singapura ada masa tu. Jadi kita kena pindah RUU. Namun mengecewakan melihat bagaimana Sarawak BN lah ya, ahli parlimen BN menolak dengan tidak mengundi.
A total of 138 out of 221 MPs voted for the amendment, while 59 others abstained. The Deputy Prime Minister spoke to the media after visiting the Malaysian Search and Rescue, or SMART Team headquarters at Pulau Meranti in Puchong on Wednesday. Still to come on Nightline, 6 states agree to raise water tariff. Details next. Welcome back. Still on Nightline. The Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry is mulling depositing the targeted petrol subsidy straight into the bank accounts of the B40 low-income recipients. Its Minister, Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail, said this includes 90% of the cost of living allowance BSH recipients who are also eligible for the targeted petrol subsidy. Responding to a question at the Dewan Rakyat, he said the remaining 10% of the BSH recipients, most of whom live in the interior, will be assisted in opening a bank account.
Jadi menjadi hasrat kerajaan untuk barangan pengguna yang lain yang sekarang ini kerajaan tanggung dari segi subsidi, kita akan laksanakan secara bersasar dengan mengambil sedikit sebanyak pengalaman daripada pelaksanaan RON 95 yang insyaAllah mudah-mudahan akan berlangsung dengan baik.
Commenting further, he explained that the pump price of petrol will be the same for everyone. However, the recipients of the targeted petrol subsidy will have received the subsidy deposited into their account. He added the government is also looking into the use of a card as a means of identifying the recipients. The information in the card will also be useful when the government considers a targeted subsidy for other consumer goods in the future. Also, at the August House, 6 states have agreed to increase water tariff rates in line with the government's efforts to restructure the water supply services industry. Water, Land and Natural Resources Minister Dr. A. Xavier Jayakumar said the agreement was reached through negotiations with each state government and the National Water Services Commission, or SPAN.
Pada hari ini, bahawa 6 negeri pun telah setuju untuk menaikkan tarif air. Sekarang konsultasi telah pun diteruskan dan tak lama lagi 2 negeri lagi akan bersetuju untuk kita adakan kenaikan tarif di dalam industri air.
Dr. Xavier added the water tariff nationwide should have been raised 2 or 5 years ago, as it has failed to offset annual operating costs, putting some water operators in a financially difficult position to provide quality water services. On the ceiling price, he said it varies according to the state and operational capacity, among other things. In Malacca, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has arrested a senior police officer with the rank of Assistant Superintendent, ASP, for his alleged involvement in money laundering activities amounting to 17,000 ringgit. The 53-year-old suspect was arrested at about 2:30 p.m. on Wednesday when he went to the Malacca MACC office to give his statement. The senior police officer was believed to have accepted 17,000 ringgit in proceeds from illegal activities involving gambling around Malacca between February and May 2017. Meanwhile, MACC Deputy Chief Commissioner of Operations, Datuk Sri Azam Baki, when contacted, confirmed the arrest. He said the senior police officer will be charged at the Johor Bahru Sessions Court on Thursday morning under Section 4, subsection 1B of the Anti-Money Laundering Act and Prevention of Terrorism Financing and Revenue from Illegal Activities 2001. In Perlis, 4 towmen who were allegedly involved in a hijack attempt on a car in Kuala Perlis were remanded for 7 days starting Wednesday. Kanga Deputy Police Chief ASP Abdul Shukur Yusof said 2 of the suspects, aged 37 and 43, surrendered themselves at the Kuala Perlis police station on Tuesday evening. In the 12:30 p.m. incident on Friday, the suspects had allegedly tried to steal a Mercedes-Benz belonging to a contractor who had just arrived from Langkawi. The case is being investigated under sections 395 and 397 of the Penal Code for gang robbery and armed robbery. Meanwhile, in Terengganu, an assistant manager of a contractor company has been remanded for 6 days for allegedly submitting false claims amounting to 261,000 ringgit. The 27-year-old suspect, alleged to have been involved in supply works without following specification in a school in Kuala Terengganu in 2017, was detained at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday at the Terengganu MACC office. The case is being investigated under Section 18 of the MACC Act 2009. Still in Terengganu, a 23-year-old man was remanded for 4 days, less than 48 hours after he broke into a magistrate's house and ran off with some valuables in Kuala Terengganu. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Court Assistant Registrar Wan Azianti Wan Abdul Karim. The case is being investigated under Section 457 of the Penal Code. Over in Selangor, a motorcyclist died in an accident believed to be a hit-and-run in Jalan Pelabuhan Utara from North Port heading to Port Klang on Tuesday night. In the 8:40 p.m. incident, victim Ismail Bache, 64, was believed to have been rammed by an unidentified vehicle. Police urged the driver of the vehicle to lodge a police report, and the case is being investigated under Section 41 (1) of the Road Transport Act 1987. Next up, the 2019 Le Tour de Langkawi. Matteo Pellucci triumph in Stage 5. Stay tuned. We're back with sports news now. Cycling, the 2019 Le Tour de Langkawi. Matteo Pellucci gave Androni Sidermek its first victory in 4 years at the LTDL after winning Stage 5 from Tanjung Malim to Taiping on Wednesday. The Italian rider crossed the finish line of the 200.1-kilometre race in 4 hours, 27 minutes and 11 seconds, pipping Blake Quick of St George Continental Cycling Team and Travis McCabe of Floyd's Pro Cycling Team in bunch sprint. Despite the results, Australian Benjamin Dyball maintained his grip on the yellow jersey as overall leader, leading the table by 27 points. Third-place finisher McCabe and Angus Lyons from Oliver's Real Food both retained the green jersey and red jersey respectively, while Astana's Vadim Pronsky grabbed the white jersey as the best Asian rider. The 6th stage will be held on Thursday, covering 130.8 kilometres from Bagan to Alor Kedah. Looks like that sports item wraps up Nightline this time around.